Hi, everyone. I'm Adam McDowell with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Chicago and parkbench.com/North Center. I'm here today with Christine Hall. She is the owner of Studio 8 Pilates up here in North Center. Hi, Christine.
Hi, Adam. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for sitting down, taking some time to
Of
talk with me. Let's talk about Studio 8 Pilates.
All right.
What makes you guys the Pilates studio to go to?
So at Studio 8, we're a boutique studio. We're a standalone independent spot. We really specialize in our clients' needs. A lot of people walk through our doors for the first time, not knowing what to expect, not knowing what it is. They might have been recommended by a physical therapist or a doctor, or just word of mouth. A friend said, "Oh, you got to try this Pilates thing. It's fixed my back." And kind of going back in the history of Pilates, Joseph Pilates ended up, after leaving Europe, he ended up in New York City in the same building as the New York City Ballet. So when the ballerinas were injured, they were told to go get fixed by Uncle Joe. So it started a long time ago. Most people don't know that there was an actual man named Joseph Pilates. Pilates was originally he called it contrology, because it was about controlled, precise movements. Now Studio 8 is a contemporary studio, so we don't follow necessarily like the dance protocol. There's a lot of rules that were very rigid in the kind of beginning days of Pilates, not by him, by some of his first generation teachers. And we just, we look at the body and we kind of figure out a plan to help people feel better. We get a lot of people with back injuries. My story is I found Pilates after having my second child, and I had this abdominal wall separation, and I didn't really know what to do to fix it. I was told I should have surgery, and I didn't want to do that. So it led me down the path to find Pilates, and I've always been very athletic. I'd never heard of a workout that you weren't like dying and sweating and was effective until I found Pilates. And I've been doing it now, almost 20 years, and it really has changed not only my life and obviously my career, but the way I feel in my body. So our goal is to help people feel the best they can feel in the body that they have, all sizes, all shapes, different ages, different problems, scoliosis, osteoporosis. Like we get a lot of different people with injuries that we like to help.
You said you do a lot of one-on-one training. You do some classes, but focus a lot on one-on-one or two-on-one training. So you're really able to tailor those classes to a specific body or a specific health issue, right?
Yeah, exactly. So kind of the origin of Pilates is one-on-one. Joseph Pilates began helping people, rehabbing soldiers in the war in Europe. And so that was really custom for each body. Now, flash forward to a time where fitness has been kind of taken on a boutique setting, and it's not only more cost effective, but kind of fun to be in a group. Our groups are very small. They max out at 7, and a lot of our classes max at 6, depending on what piece of equipment we're on. We have 7 reformers in the studio and 6 of everything else, 6 chairs, 6 towers. So even if we do have a maxed out class of 6, I know my clients' bodies, and I'm watching them, and I've watched them change over the years. And brand new people, we have fundamental classes that are meant for new people to try. Most people, when they're brand new in our studio, do try a couple of one-on-ones first, and we discount that in half so people can try it, which is our new client, we call it the new client package, whatever. It's 2 privates. A lot of people, after doing 2 privates, are like, it kind of made sense to me. I'm ready to move into a class. And then a lot of people are like, oh, I need more time. Yeah. So we work with them. We kind of make it work for anybody and what their goals are. And a lot of people come twice a week, but travel for work. So we really recommend once or twice a week, at least at the beginning. And then it does really make sense once it starts making sense in your body. Skipping a month or whatever isn't a big deal. It's kind of like riding a bike when you get back to it. But in my body, personally, practicing 2 to 3 days a week is what makes me feel good. Yeah. But we do have a lot of one-on-ones, 2-on-ones, some 3-on-ones.
Can you tell me a little bit about the reformer? You said there's the reformer, the Wunder chair, right?
Yeah, Wunder chair. Yep.
Demystify those a little bit. What
Yeah.
if you see a picture of me, you might be a little bit intimidated to set foot in your studio.
Yeah, sure. So the reformer, it's urban legend that Joseph Pilates took some springs out of a bed and helped attach them somewhere and helped a soldier who was in bed and couldn't get out of bed rehab himself so he could get up and walk again. Mm-hmm. Now, there's not a lot of proof of that because he did not have children. So we just go with what the industry says. And ironically enough, I just read something today that 100 years ago when the Spanish flu was happening, he was in New York State and he had a retreat kind of location where he trained dancers. And so ironic that was 100 years ago. He died the year I was born. He died in the 60s. So, but yeah, the reformer is this kind of, it's a carriage attached to a wood frame and it moves on springs. So a very light spring. So say I'm sitting on the reformer and I'm pushing away from the front of the reformer on a light spring. It's not going to require a lot of my muscle in my arm to push, but it will require a lot of stability in my core so I don't fall over. Mm-hmm. Now, vice versa, if it's super heavy and I'm laying on my back and I'm pushing against resistance, I'm going to feel it more in my muscles, less in my core. So we can really manipulate the work. A lot of times people are surprised to hear this, but when you're more advanced in Pilates, you work on lighter springs. You don't necessarily have to push against heavy springs. You rely on your own body as that weight mechanism, and then you've got to balance against a lighter spring tension. Uh-huh. So you can lay on your back, on your side. You can jump. I was mentioning to you before, you can jump off of a jump board on the reformer. You can kneel. And then there's some really advanced standing exercises where you can imagine it's almost like standing on a block of ice that moves. Yeah. So we don't do that in your first session. We get to that eventually. And then there's a smaller piece of equipment called the Wunda chair, W-U-N-D-A, which is Wunder in German. Joseph was German. And that's a really cool little piece of equipment that he developed in New York City so everyone could have a piece of equipment to work on in their living room. And it actually tilts to the side to become a chair where you could sit and talk to somebody, just sit in a regular chair. So we just nicknamed that the chair. And then we have a Cadillac. If anybody walks by Studio 8 on Lincoln, you'll see this big, giant, weird-looking table with uprights. And that Cadillac has uprights because you can do hanging things and walkovers and inversions. Joseph Pilates was heavily involved in gymnastics, so there's a little bit of a gymnastics dance component to it. I was neither, so those are very challenging exercises for me. And then we have kind of a version of that, a smaller version of the Cadillac goes against the wall, which is we call the wall tower. So that gives me the ability to have 6 people working on a tower at a time in a group class format. So it's kind of cool because, traditionally a lot of classes and Pilates studios start on the reformer, which is great. There's tons of intermediate and advanced work that can be done on the reformer, but it's also really fun to get on the chair and towers to do some really unique kind of stuff that will help lengthen and strengthen the body.
I want to ask you too, so in talking with you, you've been referring to Pilates as a sport rather than a form of exercise or a workout. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's a mind-body sport in my head, right? It's not one of those sports that I grew up doing where you run and you run and you run and your coach is yelling at you and you keep running. And there's nothing wrong with that. I still do cardio. I like to mix it in with my Pilates, but Pilates, when you really get it, it does require you to slow down and think about the movements. Because our bodies are trained to react. So if I lift a weight, my bicep knows to kick on, right? But what about when I let go of the weight? I can either just let it drop or I can slowly resist the weight. It's, weight trainers call it the negative. And so this is the positive concentric movement and the negative would be the eccentric movement. So the springs are really cool at allowing the body to react, like to push or pull against the weight, but then the way back, you're still working. You're still creating length. So it's a very unique method. Mm-hmm. People call Pilates a method, and it is a practice as well. So meaning I still have to practice it because I want it in my body. And if I stop doing it, then I don't think I would be a very good teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a good segue, keeping Pilates in your body and practicing. Obviously you're closed right now because of the quarantine. So let's talk a little bit about the classes you're offering online. You've got some group classes you do, but you're also still continuing some one-on-one sessions as well, right?
Definitely. Yeah. So we've adapted our classes to Zoom and virtual, and we have different levels and different kind of focuses. I have a class I just started this week, Tuesdays at noon. That's a stretching Pilates mat class. So for all of us, our bodies, that we're sitting more probably than we ever have. I know a lot of people are navigating through unemployment and trying to keep their companies alive. So we've got several classes that are available, super easy to log onto Zoom and access. And then we're also teaching one-on-ones for people who want a little bit more hands-on, but eyes on, right, through the screen. Yeah. So in a Zoom class, there will probably be a few people on the screen in a gallery view, so not super easy for the instructor to cue you, obviously. So it's more of a, you watch the teacher and you follow her movements, and super effective mat classes. And then the one-on-one is more of obviously a custom session for our students who are used to that and really would prefer that. Yeah. So we're offering both. I have 7 other teachers in addition to me, and we're all working from home now, which is interesting. Never thought I'd see the day, but it's working. It's working. We're doing it.
Great. So how can people find you, social media and websites? Where can they sign up for classes?
Yeah, so we're posting a lot of our class times, and it might change week to week depending on demand and all of that. On Instagram and Facebook, we're at Studio 8 Chicago, and that 8 is the number in the center. Our website is studio8chicago.com as well. And the best way to, there's a couple ways to book classes into Studio 8, and one of them is through that website, so studio8chicago.com. You would go to group classes and it will show you the classes that are available. I left our regular classes up there, but they're all canceled, so you can't accidentally book the wrong class. All the classes that are live now are virtual. And then the other way is there's the software that we use is called MindBody online, and there is a great app called MindBody. And all you have to do is search for Studio 8 Pilates, click on that, save it as one of your favorites, and then it will show you all the classes there. Our classes are $15. I want to keep our teachers employed, so we're charging a little bit for that. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much for your time and teaching me a few new things about Pilates.
Yeah, I look forward to getting you in the studio when we reopen.
Absolutely, I'll be there.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, my name is Adam McDowell with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Chicago, your path to home. If you have a business you want to see me interview, get in contact, let me know who it is, and I'll be happy to get in touch with them.